8 portal. Even though, sorry, I'm not ready for work on a Saturday. Even though it's an 8-8 portal, this is the happy medium at Phoenix Rises. Good old fashioned Saturday. People are being crowned today. Kings and queens are being crowned today. And you have probably felt this coronation all month long, all summer long. It's like a ring of fire. It's like when a baby's born and they're crowning. It's literally called the ring of fire, but the 8-8 portal is also a ring of fire. You're being crowned. So, to the new kings and queens, congratulations, you made it. Can you believe you lived through that shit? They tried to bury you before this day came, and for the last 3 years straight, you've been fighting for your life. The crown is yours. I bow to you, kings and queens. Good job. Congratulations. And thank you. And thank you. You're not getting crowned because it was a popularity contest. You're not getting crowned because it was a money contest. You're getting crowned because it was a test of endurance. It's a test of your willpower, a test of your heart, a test of your character, your emotional fortitude, your ability to function in extreme situations with zero resources, zero outlets, and no rescue coming. You did a good job. You proved that you could sustain yourself and others. You proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that when shit hits the fan, you're the one who shows up and faces the music. You have been crowned. You have been stamped, not worthy, but capable. You're the one who's going to lead the future. You're the one who's. You can get your flowers, but your flowers come with responsibilities still. You have to be the holder, you have to be the carrier, you have to be the transport, the bus driver, the taxi, the angel that carries them off the field. So the positions that you're about to be put in are the ones that you just recently attained are positions not of power but of responsibility. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. I'd say you have power, but you don't. You only have the power to fix and clean up what your department is. You don't like have the power to misuse your department. You have the power to be the fall guy for that department. That's why you're being crowned. Right now, the people who are good at taking accountability, the ones who are good at saying sorry, the ones who are good at introspection, like hearing a truth and saying, hold on, I've done that. I've been guilty of that. They take accountability, they take responsibility for it, whether they really did it or not. They look inside themselves and they carry their portion. Hello, dolls. And anyone who's willing to carry their portion is now about to get a lighter load. Those of you who've been carrying others off the field, those who have been doing the work, not just for you, but for others. You've been showing up for others, you've been championing for others, you've been going back for others, just checking to make sure your load is about to be lightened. Hello, loves. Your load is about to be lightened because we all have to carry our portion, right? And like I just said, you've been carrying yours and others. So we need captains now. We need team leaders. And so that's who's being crowned today. Friends, if you're in here, you're crowned, you're team captain. And honestly, I don't know who your group is. I know that my group are small children. Like, I talk with adults because you are my colleagues. You are the ones I'm asking to go do this work. Here's where we come to the water cooler and talk about how the day went before we go back out. We come here to get solutions and brainstorm over how we can do this better. And then we go back out into the world and we put that forward. Hey, do you think about the fourth dimension? Shit, I got stuck in the fourth dimension, haven't you? Haven't you ever been? If you are actually emotionally linked up, you're connected to the fourth dimension. If you struggle with nightmares and you struggle with oh shit, what's it called? People have it a lot. Sleep paralysis. A lot of that has to do with some unhealed emotional shit, like repressed stuff or PTSD. But always, your dream state is fueled by your emotional state. I had a car crash one time, and it was like I damn near got trapped in the fourth dimension. That's what I mean. I was totally stuck in my mind. But I could feel everything. This was the period where I got linked up with, I guess you'd say, the animals and nature itself. I went through a whole period of full-blown vegan. Animals, you can hear animals talking. When you are vegan, you're totally telepathic, especially with animals. It's like if you don't eat meat and they don't eat meat, they sense safety on you, and that connection can be made. There's like a biblical version of it, but like before the lions would eat the man type thing. So in the astral plane, in the fourth dimension, that's your emotional field, kind of the mental field, kind of telepathic field, but like say lucid dreaming, astral projection, astral travel. All those things are a quote unquote dream state, but you can do it while you're awake too through meditation. So like what is asleep? What is dreaming? How did I get out of it? Okay, are you stuck? Have you gotten stuck in there? Well, one, I had a friend, and the friend is a very down to earth, anchored person. So even though I'm whimsy and woo woo, I'm also female, right? So I'm more inclined to be that way. But I have a practical sense and a practical nature. So in order to get out of that, I had to do a detox. I had to do a first off, what's real is what's real. This person is immovable. So even if I can fly high like a kite, like I can literally be off in the wind, off in my thoughts, stuck in my head. There's still people around me who are super grounded and not necessarily dreamers at all. And so kind of those ones that are the dream crushers, if you will. Sometimes an asshole will knock that dream state out of you. I was the one trapped in the fourth, and it was the friend who was so anchored who helped me pull out of that. But it's different phases at different stages. So are you stuck at the part where you feel like you have hardcore insomnia, like at nighttime you don't sleep and the day you can hardly stay awake? Because that sometimes has to do with witchcraft and projections, and sometimes a person can legit have a voodoo doll of you. Like the crazy thing is that we're always saying magic doesn't exist. Meanwhile, that's the greatest lie ever told, and it keeps only those who know in the know about it. Just because you don't, just because you cannot see something or understand something right off the bat does not mean it's not at play. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. I know for a fact you have not seen $1 billion cash in front of you physically. And since you haven't seen it physically, you may say that doesn't exist, but you know damn well there is actually $1 billion physically in cash. Well, that's kind of how it is when you talk about magic. Just because it's not in front of you happening does not mean it's not over there actually actively happening. So, I don't tell my name on here. It would be the Happy Medium or Phoenix. I don't want people to be more familiar with me than they should, because familiar spirits is part of being stuck in the astral. People who pretend to be closer to you than they are, people who use familiarity as an opening to get into a place they don't really belong. You could have people in your life right now who can see your potential where you don't, and just by asking something like, "Can I read your cards?" I was talking to a girl about this yesterday at the I was at a plasma center, and I was talking to her, and she was saying she just watched a scary movie about tarot. Well, she's saying I'm afraid of the occult and things like that. Occult means hidden knowledge, the stuff they purposely don't tell you. Occult studies are what runs this whole show, this whole thing. And the reason it seems like the people who have a whole lot have to work the least is because it's all energy, baby. We've been told you got to work very hard to get what you want. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. The best way I've ever heard it is if you want to eat, you got to pull weeds. And that's from a down to earth, grounded person who is saying nothing is for free and nothing is for free. Because these ones who are willing to do it for the whatever, they have owners, for real, spiritual owners, not a physical flesh and body. I'm talking about a principality and old energy and ancient something, because our imagination creates reality. And there are certain realities and storylines and ideas. I'm just saying it outright. Religious dogmas The problem is whatever your religion is, that's what your hell is going to be. Like Catholic hell is different than Christian hell, and Jewish hell is different than Catholic hell. And the reason for that is because they've written up these doctrines. And so based on their rules and your belief, whichever one you attach to yourself, you're you're bound by the rules of that uh religion, right? What's your imagination? What's your imagination? Are you joking? Your creative juice, the part where your imagination is what's not in front of you. It's what you came up with on your own. It's your own creative juices. Mm, I would say my truth that I want to bring to reality is that I think that people need more flexibility to be in charge of their self and to trust their self more. Each person is their own creator. The reality that we're in is a it's an amalgam and a co-creation formed by those who are awake and aware enough to be creating. We are all creating all the time, but mostly unconscious, mostly not aware of it. More often than not, our subconscious is running the show, and our subconscious is making the next sequence of events, such as what you resist persists. Say you're afraid of being rejected by this girl. You're going to end up in a situation where you talk to the girl and you shoot your shot, and then you get rejected because fear was a stronger emotion than hope in that situation. And so the more elevated emotion is the one that won that creation. You created that scenario in your mind and then you created it in reality. But to you, it looks like coincidence. To you, it looks like happenstance. So if you start telling people how to get a hold of their own remote control to their own reality, their lives can get better too. I'm pretty comfortable in my life. There are parts I don't like and I would absolutely change in a heartbeat. And then there's other things, butterfly effect wise, I wouldn't change at all because that would fuck up the rest. I'm good. I've already had plenty of near death experiences too though, so I'm not necessarily I died a couple times. That's what I was about to say. I've had a few near death experiences and coming back was like a fucking resurrection. I don't know. It was hard. I touched the hem of the garment. I'm not even joking. I had a car crash so extreme that I have a scar here on my face from it, up in here. And my rearview mirror hit me in my face. It straightened my spine. It literally made my chin over my navel. My spine was completely straight. And a release of spinal fluid took place. If you check into your science, metascience, physical, metaphysical, it's like the oil of Christos, but it's actually just spinal fluid that goes up and down your spine at a natural pace all throughout your life. Well, I had slight spinal curvature. And so that fluid did not flow up and down as it should. And with the lack of that, I had crazy, morbid depression all my life, like intense depression all of my life. I have this car crash, the spinal injury happens, and it literally straightens out my spinal column, releasing that fluid to go up and down. I had 3 months worth of almost full blown hallucinations. It was fucking crazy. But the part was they weren't weird hallucinations. They weren't distorted faces. They weren't it wasn't like demonic in nature. It was like getting knocked outside your body and getting an aerial view. But I had so much trauma before that I was already dissociated. And so it's like I was locked out of my body watching my life anyways. And the car crash slammed me back into my body. And then it felt like I don't know what the hell, but instead of feeling apathetic and numb all the time, I didn't. I didn't feel that. I felt everything at once. It's like my heart opened and the whole world turned to a different color. It was like Christmas. I don't know what happened, but what happened made it to where maybe it was like because I didn't die, I felt very lucky and very grateful. So it was like change your mind, change your life type thing. But the only part I can possibly explain at all is but God. Like I'm gonna talk about it forever at this point because that's clearly who came and got me. That's clearly who I swiped. I had these questions and I was talking to these two people, and it was my dad and it was my English teacher. And I knew that they were the voices of my conscience. Like, they're the narrators. They're the ones I would, like, I guess, like mom and dad, right? And whatever the question was I had for them, they were both reassuring me I was okay. And then they moved out of the way. And then there was just this really bright, bright light. And I couldn't help it, like a column of light. And I just swiped my fingers through it, like, to, I guess, to see if it had texture or what. I don't know. But after I swiped my fingers through it, it was like instantly waking up. But it hurt so bad. It was like being physically thrown from the sky to the ground, and then I could suddenly feel every piece of that car crash. I could feel every emotion I had been avoiding. I could feel every single thought. I was linked the fuck up. And since then, I've pretty much been stuck in between worlds. I can somewhat feel and sense and talk to the spiritual world, and I am here all the time in the 3D. But do you know how difficult it is to sit here and look like a crazy person who's talking to someone in real life while being distracted by a spirit who's also trying to talk to you? Not like a ghost. It's not like you're haunted. It's not like everywhere you go has someone trying to talk to you. It's unfinished business. It's the it's that now you got to help the spirit world because they helped you. But no, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like God sent me, and I'm cool with it. I like where I'm at. It hurt at first. Even going through getting like back into my own life hurt. So the people, places, and things that had made me feel that depressed, that out of place, that unwanted, 2.0 came back and just corrected all the shit out of her life. Like, okay, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. You're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And it wasn't just because I came back thinking I was better than everyone. It's because I realized if I had a second chance at life, I didn't want to be that freaking miserable for the rest of the time being. And this is why I do my channel. This is my mission. I'm actually glad you asked this question because I'll get to the bottom of it. The thing is the kind of sadness I had before this happened felt inescapable. And then after it happened, it's not like I was not raised religiously. I was raised by people who are almost basically atheists, and some are bold enough to be blasphemous. But it's like they kind of kept it away from me or just didn't see merit in it. And then, right when I was about to actually die with my two freaking new babies in my car, Jesus, God was like, pulled me back from the edge. But I actually talked to Jesus in the spirit, and then came back to the flesh. And so when they say you can't go, yes, you can. Yes, you can. People have these accidents all the time, or near deaths, and people dream all the time. Like, our reality is subjective. The point is even after having God kept from me this whole time, I was as innocent as a child in the spirit because I had no real preconceived notions, neither light nor dark. And when the time came, it's like spirit spoke for me. I didn't have to try to convince anyone of my innocence. It was like my innocence was seen and I was sent back to go actually have a life. And now that's the one I'm on. So, since I don't have to have that feeling anymore and I don't have to have that pain in me anymore, I came back to tell other people, if you've been lied to, if you've been tricked, if you think God's not there, I can prove it. It is proven. It's scientifically proven. It's mathematically proven. It's proven in nature. Like, it's actually very hard to disprove God. God is the living, vital force in everything. In the fourth dimension, if you're really feeling like you're in between worlds where you kind of feel stuck in this watery, aquatic-like spirit world and this more harsh and solid, kind of painful 3D world, you're an intercessor. You're actually the one helping make the bridge between the 3D and the 4D. And here's the deal. If you go into Native American mythology, I'm talking about United States, American, Native American mythology, they tell us all about this. They tell us about the sky people that came here to help us. They tell us about the land. They tell us about the spirit helpers. They tell us about all this. All the indigenous cultures know this stuff. It's written in the stones. It's written in the dirt. It's written in the trees. Like, they have to do a lot to hide it, right? But you can get to it on your own, and you have the right to get to God on your own. You do not need a man or a woman in between you and God. You don't need shit. Even if you've never known, your spirit is yours. So no matter what kind of concerns you may have, or fears you may have, you're still tethered straight to the source. But I mean, we all come from this one same source, and this is what I was waiting to say. Is that even though I was that depressed and I was just so ready to not exist anymore, and it's been like that most of my life, it made it to where when I finally got there, a very, very clear message was told to me. We all go home eventually. There's no reason to run back. We will be here when you get here. So, you don't need to rush to the finish line. You don't need to hurry up and die. And when you catch yourself being too worried in the rat race, I need to hurry up and go, I need to hurry up and go. Think about what the end is. The end is dying. So are you trying to hurry up and die? Or are you trying to enjoy what you're doing here? Because feeding the machine is hurry up and dying. Trying to slow down and enjoy what you're doing here is the real reason you're here. You got lucky enough to get a vessel. You were a spirit. Now you're in your vessel so that you can experience things through all five senses. You can process things through your entire vessel. You got the best one for the job. You picked this one so you could get the job done this time. So instead of me failing my mission and having to come back and do this shit again in a whole other lifetime as a whole other person, I was so lucky and so blessed. I got sent back so I can finish it this time, not have to do it again. Multiple cultures are correct. Like reincarnation can and does happen, but it's not something we necessarily want to have happen. It means you have to keep effing doing it. That's why they call it a trap and a loop. We want to exit the entire playing field. Like, unless you enjoy being a human and this is the experience you like to come and have, we're only picking it because we're going from the third to the fourth dimension. Well, that time they call it, the Native American people calling it the flip. Like, the table is flipped over once, twice, three times. This is the fourth time. Well, they call it going from the third dimension to the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension. And here's why you can't stay in the fourth dimension. Someone explained it real well the other day. Your body's the third dimension. Your thoughts inside, that's the fourth dimension. And so in order to get it out here again to where it's actually advancement, that is the fifth dimension. So the fourth dimension is like a rocky table, plane. It's extreme dualities so that it can flip completely over. And instead of having left and right, hot and cold, we have a unification. We're all on the same page. We're all going for the same goal. We're all a united organism. First, we have to individuate and then come back as a whole. Basically, once everyone individualized and they're all doing what each little component should be individually doing, then the entire organism is linked up correctly. Until then, we small circuits are going to have to rewire the Earth's atmosphere. That is to say, rewire our thinking, rewire our approach to science and to medicine, rewire how we think about socio-economical problems, how we think about mental health. Because if this thing is the creator of everything else, then putting this thing in bad health is making everything else come out bad. You get what I'm saying? Yes, I believe in God. I am not afraid of driving, actually. I'm a very good driver and a very cautious driver. But at first, yes, I had some PTSD. Now, as a side note to the like being afraid of car driving, what I actually experience more often than not is when I am driving, there will be an ambulance or something, car crashes. I end up around car crashes a lot, right? And sometimes I can actually feel the spirit that just got knocked out of their body. And so I come by at just the right time and pretty much tell that spirit, you're over there. Instead of you going to the incarnation, like reincarnation light or the loop, you're not leaving yet. Your body's over there. At least 3 different times, I have passed a car crash that just happened. No ambulance is there yet. And it seems like the body may not come back. Right as their spirit was leaving, like at this crossroads, I was able to just send them back over. Like, hey, if you're coming to me, I'm like a lighthouse for a lost soul in the spirit and in the flesh. I can send them back to where they were trying to get to. I can get them back on the path they were trying to go on. just by way of empathy. Like, I don't think you're ready to die right now, so there's your body. Or I can clearly tell you're ready to die right now. Let's go this way. And then there's people in the flesh who are also doing this work and are super, super confused by it. If you feel like spirits are talking to you, or energy's acting weird around you, or animals are specifically hovering around you, they're trying to get your attention. Stop being freaked out by your gifts and stop being worried about how people are going to judge you. They're going to judge you no matter what. It doesn't help them either. The thing is, you got to get so good at what you're doing, you can help them too. But listen, I can handle a weird amount of judgment. Like I said, I swiped through that light. And every time I've been really, really scared or really lost or it was really bad after that, I've been homeless 3 times after that. So it's not like Jesus just scooped me up and tied a golden ribbon around me and was like, "You're good." No, 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 no. I had to come back and clean up the mess that it seemed I was running away from. And things got better. And then it got right back to the hard part where I was at when the accident happened in the first place. And what you resist persists. Well, it turns out that the thing that I was really afraid of in my subconscious that I kept avoiding, I was presented with that situation about 3, 4, 5 more times until the thing that I had been perpetually running from the entire time made itself known. And then it was like getting down to the bottom of why I was sad anyways, getting down to why I didn't want to be here. It was like finding like a poisonous root in the basement of myself, and then, or I like to call it this radioactive nuclear submarine inside your emotional state, which is the abyss. And you have to swim down to the very, very bottom of the abyss to the point where you're not swimming anymore. You just give up and sink. And when you sink to your lowest point, you find that nasty radioactive nuclear submarine that's been poisoning the water the entire time. And you haul that fucker out piece by piece. And that's how you actually heal your internal system. You find out what is wrong. I suffered SA as a child, as a toddler. And when it happens real early on in your formative years, like pre-7 years old, it gets so stuck in your subconscious that your conscious mind cannot find it. It doesn't know what it is. It comes out as just being dissociated. You don't know. You're constantly doing the opposite of what you want to do. You say stuff like, "I'll never go over there. I don't want to do this. I don't like that person." And then you go work at that place. You end up helping that person. It's like you're always doing the opposite of what you wanted to do. It's like you're being forced into someone else's life while you watch yourself suffer. Well, it turned out those painful moments, those painful times were making the overall vessel want to self-eliminate. Like, there's just too much in here. We can't even find the sadness. We've just always been sad and it just would not go away. Well, after the car crash, where I'm over here talking to a light beam, I make it back into my body and it's like I got all the answers to questions I never even thought to ask. And then after I didn't even think to ask, I started being put through like a weird series of events. So it was like a gauntlet and I couldn't tell what in the actual fuck was going on. But I just wasn't as sad. I was curious. I had a childlike wonder, like, what is going to happen next? And so while people have been judging my journey, have been asking, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Who do you think you are? I don't know. Who does God think I am? Shit, watch it with me. We'll find out together, right? Like, I don't know. I am just being obedient to what I'm being guided to do. And if you want to know how to talk to God, I have a question for you. Do you only want to talk to God because you need help with something? Because usually that's how it has to happen. You'll get brought to your freaking knees so that you can call on God because you forgot to save their seat. You put everything else in the seat and didn't let them have their seat. And when you finally make room and you're like, I would like to invite God in. I want to invite the light in. Like, I want that feeling. I want to know I'm safe. Because sometimes I just call Sky Daddy. like, you want God to talk back to you. Okay, so that's the issue. A lot of people do think God's not talking back. So really all you need are your eyes and ears on, right? So there's a good way to start. There's a good way to start. You you set your intention to be answered, right? Because if you think you're just talking out into the sky and that it's your disbelief is making it to where it's like, no, do something and show me you're there. God don't like being mocked, first off, but that's not mocking. That's like a kid who feels anxious that because their mother or father has walked out of the room, they can't see them anymore. They're worried they don't even exist anymore. And like I said, we've had a bang up job done on us to make us feel like we have been utterly abandoned by daddy, by mommy. We haven't. What you need to do is make some quiet space where the possibility of being answered can occur. If you're always busy at work, or you're always scrolling, or you're always whatever you're doing to get your attention, you won't hear it, and you won't see it. But when you pause, you stop, you really just stop. You don't have any music on. You're not watching cars drive by. You're not scrolling on anything. You're really actually trying to find your spirit phone. It's like looking for your connection and wondering why you don't hear it anymore or why you never could hear it. First off, the intention to be able to see and hear, because you're saying, this is who I'm wanting to talk to. Always what you're seeking is seeking you. When a student's ready, a master appears. Well, we will forever be in a student phase because there's always more to learn. But the master has literally failed more times than you have tried yet. So there's nothing on your mind and on your plate that really God wouldn't understand. God's the Allspark. You can't possibly break connection with this one. Do you see the sunlight when you go outside? Do you see the water in the streams? Do you feel the air and the wind? You can get a lot closer to God by sitting with the elements. You can get an answer back by sitting with the elements. Nature is the greatest teacher. Spend a day outside. I mean, not a whole day, because I'm not trying to be like, get sweating in the sun for 8 hours. That's gonna be rough. But just by sitting and observing, just observing, you can understand the mind of God better. Put yourself in those shoes. Like when when you're in that quiet space, think to yourself, if I were God, what would you be doing? What would you be saying? What would you be seeing? If you were in that moment, first off, no one would believe you existed. Second off, what are you going to do? You're going to smash an anthill to prove to the ants that you're there? Like, what kind of vulgar display do you want? Because it can be as simple as God is at you and the wind blows, but you said it's just the wind blowing. God is at you and a car drives by, but that was just a car. That wasn't, that wasn't an answer. How solid of an answer do you want? Do you want proof? Because listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like that on the journey I've never been like, what the fuck do you want from me, God? What are you asking me to do? Like, what is your problem? Are you just torturing me? You're allowed to have that personal relationship with your creator. It's your creator. It's your universe. It's your version of the greater good. God is just the greater good in the universe. Add an extra O. You're asking the central force, a primordial force that has always existed and always will exist, to slow down for you. Because the God, prime creator, does not have a mouth and a face and an ear. That's your ancestors. That's your relatives. That's your angels. That's God's love in each of them. But to try to compress God down into a concrete idea for our human minds is the issue. Ubiquitous means ubiquitous. It means everywhere. It means every time you draw a breath in and out, that was God at work. Our God is a living God. That's the anema going into you and coming out of you. That's your ability to be linked is the literal electrical spark inside your brain and your heart. The all spark. That's God. You're already good. You are connected. I think you're wanting to connect with your spirit guides and your ancestors, which would give you a lot more help. The Native Americans know that we are literally 90% spirit and only 10% flesh. And a whole lot of what we're experiencing is on an energetic sub level through layers. The best possible way to feel closer to God in general is to learn your heritage. Learn what your ancestors did to honor their ancestors, right? Because you're a direct link to your ancestors, and we all are directly linked to the one thing. So no matter how far you look and no matter how wide the net is cast, it always leads back to the one thing. We are all part of that one thing, experiencing multiple forms of ourselves, as many versions of ourselves as we possibly can. That's God. We are the one thing. When the one thing finally loves itself enough to say, I'm everyone, then we will have reached the singularity. Until then, we'll struggle and we'll fight with separation. We'll struggle and we'll fight with the way that spirit is separate from flesh. We'll struggle and fight with the way that gender looks opposite, with the way that color looks different. We'll struggle with the concrete ideas that we came up with for understanding. All that we are at this very moment is a metric. A metric. We are a standard of measurement. This is our capacity to perform right now. This is the maximum comprehension we've reached to come up with this reality. As we expand, which is what we're doing, and we open up the causal shockwave, if you will. It's called your causal chakra, but it's going to be a shockwave because when multiple people do it, it's going to open a new realm. Like the astral plane is open right now. And so there's people fucking with our heads, and there's people actually building beautiful ideas right now. But we don't have as many creators and innovators as we do evil masterminds and dickheads over here. Trying to balance that scale's rough enough. And so with all the ugly and the hate and the hurt, it's like God's even less in the picture. Even though that's what we were trying to do, that's who's trying to work this out. God's at war with herself right now. It's like self-doubt. Each one of us has the same emotional palette, right? This is one being, one organism talking to itself, trying to get answers. That's what we're all doing here. And then there are some who think they already know the answer. That's more like the frontal lobe, the ego, it's the more mind-centered reality. It's not really the heart-centered reality, because the heart-centered reality is what scares people. Heart-centered reality is what tells you I'm not that important. I'm just an ant on an anthill. That should kind of give you relief. It means that nothing you're doing is so damning it's going to destroy the rest of us. But it should also give you realistic limits, like nothing you're doing is going to change all of us either. This is not a one-man army situation. It takes them many hands to make the world go round. And since we have to be 1,000 points of light at first, it's like you got to be the living testimony of God before people believe you. And I have no problem speaking on it because I lived it. Like I'm a rescue. I'm a freaking rescue. So to have been that after such horrible things, I can easily talk about the horrible things because no matter how bad it gets, I'm still a protected species at this point. I'm good. I'm going to make it because I'm coming out here to tell you you're a protected species too. Earth belongs to the humans. No matter how far we get from the start, robots and machines are not going to take over. And if they do, we're the one in the machine, okay? Our imagination gets away from us. Spirituality helps ground us to the things we can't see and give us a little bit of the walk by faith, not by sight. The faith walk is a trust building exercise to where you speak to them, they speak to you. You let them guide you, and you follow that guidance, and you see where it takes you, and to where you have really built a solid foundation of trust with your ancestors, your spirit team. It's not on blind faith anymore. They prove it all the time. Once you've really established that link, you get bolder and bolder. It's like a kid who's well tethered to their parents. You feel safe to explore. You feel more sure. You feel confidence, and you feel like inspiration is the word I'm looking for. You feel inspired because you know that no matter what, you're safe. Within reason. You can still physically get hurt, but you are safe and you are going to live through it. Injuries are injuries, failures are failures, and you can make mistakes and come back from it like it's nothing. Hell, you can die and come back and still finish it off. So the end is not really the end. We see things in a very finite way, and it's not. It's just not so. The Holy Spirit is my best friend. So there's the Trinity, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, I like to see it like this: the Holy Spirit is the thing inside of Jesus. Jesus is the first vessel pure enough to hold the Holy Spirit. And then the whole thing from the beginning to the end was God. But it was like God splitting itself in half to be spirit and flesh to try to prove, I only I can do this. You can't do this. But I also have a lot of trouble with the Bible stories because, dude, what if Jesus was a fucking space cowboy? Literally, what if Jesus was a Pleiadian and they came here the last time the Earth almost got destroyed, and they came and they stabilized our environment so that we didn't die in the cataclysmic volcanic eruptions and earthquakes and floods and everything else? What if they came to stabilize and protect us then? And the first time they came, we freaked out and we killed it. Okay, well, first off, they're not sending another Jesus. We killed the last one. That was bad. Second off, if this is what we would call an alien force and they try to come back to help us, again, we are too stupid and too scared and we would kill them. But my real question is if we're going to have an alien takeover, why the fuck would they wait for us to be aware of them with the intent to fight back before they take us out? Why wouldn't they do it when we were completely blinded children, unaware? Oh, that's right. They did. They did. And then they use religion to scare you all the way out of the truth. And I'm sorry I'm saying it, but again, all indigenous cultures know this. I am a Native American, and when we go to powwows, these are the stories we are told and the stories we tell our children. Literally, the Pleiades in the sky, it's called Seven Sisters, and in my culture, it's literally a story of little children who wanted to impress their older ancestors, and they were doing a dance of maturity for the star people, and the star people were so endeared by seeing this, by seeing these children want to be big and be brave and prideful, that when they did the dance secretly behind the elders' backs, the Pleiadians were so honored by it that they actually took the children into the sky with them, and that is the seven stars in that constellation. What they're saying is your ancestors are in the sky, and they've always been looking over you, and they've always been looking out for you. In Native American culture, we connect a lot more to nature spirits, animal spirits, the elements, and they talk back more. But that doesn't like negate God. That doesn't in any way take out like white man's God. That doesn't like undo Jesus even. They're like, yeah, no, he's from there. Yeah, we knew him. We talked about it. Oh, he's from the tribe of, and it's literally written in the stars. Even astronomers know. So when you talk about like Jesus, the character, the figure, and you talk about the Spirit of Christ now, that's the Holy Spirit. When they say, how did Jesus disappear into the crowd? Through subterfuge, right? So Jesus was the main person carrying this spirit. He showed you what it looked like in action. But the Holy Spirit can be in anyone. It can move around, right? Through subterfuge. So first, he was Jesus, and then say he was Mary, and then say he was Joseph. He was the exact same person, and it was because they were in his bloodline, he was able to jump back and forth through this genetic bridge, if you will, right? So to say that you're carrying the Spirit of Christ can be quite literal. You could be in Christ's bloodline. You could be part of the remnant. But remember, there's two sides. There are two sides. There are those who fucking rebelled on purpose, those who just didn't care and blindly followed, and those who said, I never went that way. We're in the era where those who have never gone that way are informing the ones who didn't know. That's fair. You didn't know. You should have known because we were all from the same place, but that doesn't matter. You accidentally believed it. Now this happened. Now the record's got to be set straight. Now the air's got to be cleared. We have very, very, very small thinking, and we get very freaked out by the 3D material world as if this is all there is. If this is all there is, how do we dream when we're asleep, and where the hell do ideas come from? This is not all there is. This is what we've come up with so far. And I've experienced the Holy Spirit to the point of, it's like Jesus take the wheel. I have had to use something like subterfuge, talking about being stuck in the fourth dimension. When people are playing head games with you and fucking with you all the time and confusing you and just twisting you around every which way, they could be doing mirror magic on you, glamour spells, whatever. They could be just mirroring you energetically and gaslighting you to the point where you internalize their badness and they take on your good traits, trying to do a energy swap, right? Like Tesla and Einstein said, you need to think in terms of energy and frequency, because that is what is making shape and form. There's science behind this stuff, but we're so busy entertaining ourselves that we can't get the scientific or spiritual community to agree with each other. But honestly, quantum and metaphysics is the same love child. That's going to become a hybrid in the future, and then we'll be able to understand what we are, because that seems to be the biggest question. What are we? We are products of our environment. We are actually created out of necessity. We are the stewards to the earth. We are supposed to be taking care of Gaia. She's taking care of us from beginning to end with zero judgment towards anyone. She feeds the good and the bad alike, right? But then there are higher principalities and there are rules to this shit, and there's order and there's reason to it. And that's God. That's the spirit. That's the celestial alignment. That is rule and order and form. Gaia is like just endless, abundance, potential, more. You can make more out of anything that's here. But the sky truly is the limit. There is an atmosphere. There's a bubble of protection around us, and you cannot go outside of that bubble, right? Well, we're wanting to go outside the bubble. We can mentally go outside the bubble. We can build things to go outside the bubble, but physically in this vessel, we're not fixing to enter heaven in the flesh. By that, they mean you're not going your ass out into space bare-skinned. The elements are too intense. These religious dogmas, these doctrines, these fucking bedtime stories are kind of to scare you into acting one way and to judge you out of acting another way, and to get you so locked into your own mental space that you couldn't enjoy yourself if you tried. I mean, you would be told that the enjoyment alone is the sin. Like there used to be a religion that's so strong that wearing color was considered a sin. Like, really, we got to wear gray all day? Black and gray? I don't think so. Because otherwise you're being too zesty, too vain, too over the top. We would not have all these options. Okay, it's like Mother and Father God have a nursery full of babies, a preschool class. Whole thing is full of crayons and safe activities for them to do, but they're too scared to move around. So basically the parents are sitting there watching the baby just lay on the mat wondering, why does it not want to interact? What should I do? What should I give it? How do I stimulate the baby? And we're aloof. We're like asleep. We're tapped out, disconnected from it. So no matter what they do to get our attention, we're not being able to notice it. And the more spirit tries to get our attention, the more the man-made flying monkeys and circus go on, just so you can't hear, just so you keep being disconnected. Because if you were able to feel that connection again, you would not care about this stuff. You wouldn't care. You wouldn't care about the validation. You wouldn't care if you have it or you don't have it. You wouldn't be in doubt, because you would have already felt that certainty of being helped or being redirected. So if you actually want it, and you actually want to make room for the Holy Spirit to come talk to you, or your ancestors, I suggest your ancestors, because when you're first trying to have a spiritual connection, you get the bad with the good, right? It's like older siblings. Truthfully, they're all your relatives, but some relatives are the kind who pester you and snicker and joke and like tug your hair. The ones who will try to talk you into doing something just to see if you'll do it. Okay, they're all your relatives, but some of your relatives are more you know, than the others. So a good way to call for them is to say, I call on the ancestors closest to the sun, closest to the light, closest to the whatever, bright side. Because we all got some cutthroats, we all got some bandits. But what we're trying to do is heal our family's karmic debt, the wrongdoings, get the luggage dealt with, you're trying to clean your lineage up. And if you're being called to do this work, it's because you're the generational curse breaker in your family. They don't have two of them, they have a generational curse breaker in the family. It's a hell of a job. It feels like being an exorcist. People will look at you like you're crazy, but at the end of the day, what you are is a shaman, and you need Jesus in your tool belt. You are getting God's permission slip to get out here and do your work just because you can have the comprehension and the ability to have an open enough mindset to look for alternative medicine, to look for alternative answers, to try to solve the riddle. I don't have any more questions. And that's why I give the answers that I already found. Because the next portion, even though it took a really long time, it took over 8 years for me to tell anyone about any of what I just said to you. It took me 3 years to be okay with looking at my own face on a camera. I don't even take pictures of myself, so it was difficult. And it's taken a year and a half to fight for this here immaculate foundation that is actually basically where it all started. The same sadness that I was talking about that I could never get out of me occurred here. This was my ground zero. And then I moved away for 30 plus years. And by a series of freak events where I became my own parent's guardian, I ended up back here. And it felt like a whole season in hell. And guess what? Sometimes you got to be willing to dive into hell to get your own spirit back, to get your own mind back. That's the problem, is that we were all cast into hell, that these stories are about all of us falling into hell, right? And read the book again. Earth is a prison or the only place that Satan can operate. A lot of shit. Basically, it's devil worship and it's magic being done, but it's spellbinding. It's like casting spells out of a book, and the more people you get to believe it, there actually are power in numbers. So however many people you get to believe each storyline, that's how strong that net gets, right? Well, it's okay to detach, and it's okay to research, and it's okay to ask questions. It's actually recommended that you ask questions. Not only that, there's a lot of spirit guides. I mean, not spirit guides. There's a lot of deities that can help you. Jesus is one, but Buddha is one. Kali Ma, if you really need to clean some shit up in your life and you got a lot of enemies, everything is from God. So there's no reason to freak out and think that even according to their book, the devil is also from God. So no matter how bad we paint him out to be, he still works for God, right? The devil and Jesus are both two sides of a coin. It's like you do good because you want to be good because you go for the light, or you do bad because you want to do bad and go for the dark. So really, Jesus and the devil are just the spirit of selfless versus selfish. And you got to have some form of self-preservation. So does that make you a devil? But you also need to find your humanitarian side. That doesn't necessarily make you a saint, right? Good people do bad things and bad people do good things too. That's why they say don't judge a book by its cover. No, judge people by their actions. Judge people by how they're treating other people, how they show up or don't show up for others. Judge yourself the same way. When you are judging someone else, look at them as if they are you, and that's the parts you don't like. That's the reason, because that's the part you don't like. That's the part you're self-rejecting. That's the part you try to run from. Because we are all one organism. We're all one thing, and the more we're willing to carry our portion, the faster it'll be dealt with, right? So I've been on an hour. I have to go. It's Saturday. Thank you for staying on and listening. There are plenty of ways for you to get in closer communion with your spirit team. You can get your questions answered, but it's a private relationship. You just need to establish the private relationship. And if you're aware that you've had some prayers answered, then how do you know that the phone line's not just busy? You're not being ignored. There's a lot of people in a lot of danger right now, really needing miracles. Talk to your angels. It doesn't always have to be the guy at the main desk, right? You have other helpers, you have other resources. Call on them. God does not owe you an explanation. He doesn't need your permission. But if you're saying it's not there, that's where the doubt can cloud the proof. Like I said, you can ask for a sign and then dismiss the sign. Don't dismiss your signs. Pay attention. When you ask a question, listen for the answer. Don't let other people fill in the gap for you. I love you all. I'll see you next time. I'm not going to do another one for today, and I'm just going to take Sunday off altogether. So.